I guess we've all seen those television dramas where at some point someone comes out through the vast gates of a prison and stands outside as the door shuts behind them and thinks, wow, I'm free. But then there's always a question, isn't there? How am I going to use this freedom? And of course, for many who step outside the prison, it may seem like freedom, but there are lots of restrictions in those early days. Reporting to probation officers very often, all kinds of things. But the question is still the same, isn't it? How am I going to use my freedom? What is freedom for? And of course, Paul's letter to the Galatians is so much focused on freedom. And I love that, and I want to share that with you. But I also really appreciate that question, what is freedom for? And that's exactly the question that Paul answers in verse 13 of chapter 5. He says this, you, my brothers and sisters, and I love that, he's so inclusive, isn't he? We're brothers and sisters alongside the Apostle Paul. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. Isn't that incredible? But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. You know, I talk to a lot of people that are trying to discern their calling. They want to know exactly what God wants them to do, what He wants them to be. And sometimes we get so trapped in that we miss some of the real basics. And in fact, sometimes when people are sort of so engaged in this, they're actually losing the very liberty that God has given them. And they become downhearted and discouraged. And sometimes you feel like, just say, loosen up, you know, God's called you to be free. And then how are you going to use that freedom? What are you going to do? And the answer is, well, we're here to serve one another humbly in love. Not to indulge all the things that the flesh might want us to do, because in the end there's no satisfaction in that. You know, the pleasures of sin might be there for a season, but they don't last for long. And to actually have a sense of purpose where we say, I know what I'm called for. I'm called to be free. And what am I free to do? I am free to serve my brothers and sisters humbly in love. And I can't think of anything more than that. Some people like to say, I'm called to be an apostle. Well, what's an apostle called to do? To serve his brothers and sisters humbly in love. I'm called to be a teacher. Well, what's the teacher called to do? To serve his brothers and sisters humbly in love. I'm called to be an evangelist. Yeah, let's reach out, get more brothers and sisters. But reach out to the lost with that desire to humbly serve them in love and bring them into the love of the kingdom. So whatever your calling is, you've still got this bigger calling on your life. You're called to be free and to use that freedom not to fulfill the lust of the flesh, but so that you can serve one another humbly in love. Isn't that big enough calling? So you know what you're called to do now, to serve one another humbly in love and to rejoice in it, in whatever direction God takes you in order to fulfill that call on your life. Keep serving one another humbly in love. It'll make a big difference to each one of us, to yourself for doing it, and for everyone else as they benefit from it.